They control everything. Look at that Senate Bill 501 that they shoved through. So what we're telling people is that when you really put all the pieces together, the air, the food, the water, you know, they're killing us in 100 different ways. You know, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Alex. I have an honorary doctorate from the National University of Health Sciences for the work I've done over the many years in complementary medicine. And the first book I worked on back in the 1980s was called Natural Healing. So in this summer that's coming ahead, this is the time to really, really get in shape, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The products that you sell, the heirloom seeds, having your e-foods on hand, this is real. The radiation's in the air. The food system is being poisoned. We don't have a shot. And the only shot we do have is if we take it in our own hands. And I want to talk also about your Midas resources and the importance for me in owning gold and silver. Current events form future trends. Look at these solar flares. This isn't, you know, this isn't conspiracy theorist stuff. This is NASA talking about it. And there's going to be a lot more of them coming this year. When you go back to the 1800s when they had telegraph and the Carrington event fried them, they were out. Just think what they're going to do to the internet. And let's all understand there's no money out there. It's all digital money. But it won't fry gold. It won't fry silver as it fries the electronic system. And I see this guy from another planet, this Steve Jobs, talking about the wonders of cloud computing. What cloud computing? There's no clouds out there. You're just putting your information on somebody else's server. And if this happens the way a lot of scientists are saying, you're going to see a big meltdown, a big frying system.
Well, they're engineering it, admittedly, where the devices won't allow you. At first, you just have certain stuff on the cloud. But they admit, and I talked about this a decade ago, and that's what Internet 2 is. You've got a domain on a bigger domain and have no rights, like YouTube. You've got your stuff on somebody else's system, and you sign your rights away to agree, and you're like, well, I'll just keep my stuff on my server. The devices, and they're getting together at Bilderberg, that's why they get these guys together, they're getting together to make it where the devices soon won't work with your own computer or your own servers. You'll have to be in their cloud, Gerald. I'm glad you brought that up. More key trends straight ahead. Your phone calls, 800-259-9031. By the way, well, we got some breaking stuff for you. I'll cover it when we get back. This is so amazing. Stay with us. Last November, Safety Modernization Act, that means radiating it, spraying live viruses on it that eat the E. coli bacteria but cause mutations, narrowly was defeated. But it passed the Senate, got defeated in the House, started in the House, went to the Senate, and they never got it done between the conference committee. They have reintroduced it, and you knew this was coming, and Europe's doing the same thing, because of the E. coli 20 or so deaths and the hundreds that are sick in Europe. And it's in the European press that scientists are saying this has had genes added. This didn't naturally mutate. And British intelligence says Al-Qaeda did it. Al-Qaeda did it. And don't worry, we told you last week and this week it was coming. They've introduced these bills, and in the Food Safety Act last year, I haven't had a chance to read the new version yet because when Gerald said that, I had a feeling and searched Food Safety Act, and boom, reintroduced today. I haven't had time to read the text yet, and last time it said, adopt the UN's treaty Codex Alimentarius. A treaty in there under UN law. You saw the headlines, Daily Mail and others in the last month, BBC, hundreds of vitamins and minerals and herbal remedies pulled from shelves in England and Europe under EU rules. Never thought it would happen. It's happening. And they put it in this bill. And when it wouldn't pass that week, $17 million was given by 5 mega agribusinesses to the House and Senate. The biggest spending for agriculture legislation in a week on record. And in there, it shuts down your local farm and ranch. You can't even canned strawberries and give them to your neighbor. You can't even serve it to your neighbor at dinner. SWAT teams. You see them SWAT teaming Amish without even having the laws, attacking health food stores. Folks, they're now sending federal goons kicking down doors with local police under their command without warrants for unpaid tuition. Student loans. I mean, that's illegal. I've studied it. We don't have debt prisons here like England had. They got rid of it. There was riots and wars over this. It's all coming back. I mean, how does Bank of America take a house they never even owned or have the deed to and that was paid for in cash? They were never connected. They just do it. I know I'm ranting. I want to go to your calls for Gerald Celente, but Senator Kristen Gillibrand announces food safety legislation, and they go on to say they're basically introducing the same thing. And the British government admitted in 2000 that it was weaponized foot and mouth that was taken out of a level 4 weapons lab, they said, by an animal rights activist, maybe. No, and it showed up in dozens of spots in one day. No, the government distributed it and then used it to try to shut down the farms over there. Mystery diseases are killing people's sheep. I was getting calls when I was on European radio. Gerald, I'm ranting. It's just you brought this up, and it opens up a whole other paradigm. They are so lawless because in the Food Safety Act, Big Agri is exempt, and they're the ones that are responsible in every major case for the E. coli deaths and salmonella, but then they come in and want to shut us down. I mean, it's total slavery, Gerald.
It is. And when you talk about student debts, there's student serfs. You don't get out of that debt. Thanks to Joe Biden, when he was senator of the loophole state down there in Delaware, they pushed that through. You're an indentured servant for the rest of your life. Get it in your head. You take out those student loans, they own you. It's student-owned, not loaned. You're borrowing for the rest of your life to pay them off. And then when you talk about what they're scaring us now with food, if it's food, terror, war, it's a very simple formula, Alex, and it's as old as the hills. They get you with fear and hysteria. Those are the tools of the politicians and the religious fanatics. They're in the same club. And just to mention, the only way that fear and hysteria are quashed is by beauty. Beauty of the mind, the spirit, the heart, and the soul. Beauty is the antidote to fear, and people shouldn't forget that. Because if you do, you're going to be engulfed by their hysteria and fear. And get on that cattle car. There's a place at a FEMA camp waiting for you.
And by the way, we said many years ago they would roll the FEMA camps out as places to help people that couldn't pay their bills. That's how Germany started it in 34, 35. First, you're in a ghetto. You can't run your businesses. Once you run out of money, we don't let you leave the area because we're not authorizing your papers. Then, oh, you're poor. We're going to load you up and take you to a work camp where you can pay to take care of yourself. They're now in California and Hawaii locking the homeless up. People are like, well, good. Well, it's you next. And, oh, talking about making them work. So it's on. And everything we've seen is now being repeated. I want to go to loaded phone lines here before we get to as many as we can. Gerald Celente. And again, for folks that just joined us, people can subscribe and find out more at trendsresearch.com. And valuable weekly news blast and the quarterly magazine reports there at the key website, trendsresearch.com. And he also has some other alternate URLs that'll get you to the same place. But, Gerald, this is a transformation into classical tyranny. And what you just said is so true. Whenever I'm worried, whenever I'm upset, I'm not in fear. I'm more in a rage to defeat these people, and that is a good thing. But I'll just lay out under the trees and look at the blue sky and beauty in my most instinctive level. The globalists are ugly. They create ugliness. They hate beauty. You look at the art they buy. They're into sickness. And I just feel like throwing myself into the gears to defeat them for beauty. The beauty of my innocent children, the beauty of innocence, the beauty of wholesomeness and private property and families, everything they assault. And then I have no fear. I am ready to die if need be to defend beauty. And what you said right there is very touching, because that is exactly what is in my soul.
Yeah, we can't forget the human spirit. And that's what they've taken away from us, because art is the way of finding the true meaning of the human spirit. Do you need any more proof than the Renaissance that was followed by the Black Death? Do you need any more proof when you see the greatness of the pyramids and the civilizations before of what beauty is created? This has become nothing more than a disgusting bottom-line society. Isn't it wonderful going into a Walmart, having the experience of walking into a large self-storage unit? So we can change it, but we have to change ourselves. There's this great line, Alex, from the Hindus. When the student's ready, the teacher appears. The people have to get ready. They have to get in shape physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And the advertisers that you have on your show help them get there.
Absolutely. And, folks, by funding alternative media, you're voting in the marketplace. You're listening to us on local AM and FMs. You're a business owner. Go sponsor that station and tell them we're doing this because you put Alex Jones on weekdays. You put him on in prime time. Folks, it's happening. This message of liberty, the people are ready, but you've got to deliver it. Let's go to Alex in Illinois. You're on the air with our guest, Gerald Celente.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Gerald. I appreciate your time and taking my call. Originally, I called with a question about hyperinflation and whether or not, in your opinion, QE3 would actually lead to that scenario and how it would affect the working American's everyday life. But since I've been on hold listening, I'd actually like to change my question, and I'd like to ask Gerald's opinion about coitus alimentarius and how he thinks that would affect the economy. Would it drive up food costs? Are we looking at food riots, or what's that going to do?
Oh, yeah, they're going to have a monopoly to shut everything down. And I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, no, they are. Of course it's going to affect us. But worse than that, it's going to affect our health. And anybody that doesn't think that there's a, you don't need to be a conspiracy theorist to talk about a new world order. Just look at where the money goes from the Federal Reserve, what they call their discount window. It goes to most of the banks overseas. Look what happened when they found out $20 trillion of backdoor loans sent out. Where did it go? To banks overseas. It's a control by Big Pharma. That's all it is. They've turned this nation into a nation of junk food junkies and drug prescription addicts. I mean, can't you see it? And it's going to continue in that level with this more legislation.
Gerald, I go to third world countries, and the children have electricity in their eyes. I go to restaurants and places, and the kids... I was in a restaurant this weekend, and literally I couldn't find small children, ages 3 to, say, 10, who didn't act and behave mentally retarded.
And look what we look like as a nation. You know my line, Alex? Break the chains. I don't eat chain food. I don't shop in chain stores. I buy everything I can local. And I believe in the golden rule. Both of them. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And those that have the gold rule. And I don't dig the Chinese ruling me. It's bad enough right now. So we have to support each other.
Absolutely. Let's jam a call in here. Mary in New York, you're on the air. Go ahead, Mary. Okay, let's go to Mark. Go ahead.
Mark, hi. My name is Mark in Brooklyn. Mr. Celente, I love it when you're on the radio. My question is, for those of us who are unfortunately disabled and are living below the poverty line already, and we can't afford to buy gold and silver, what are the best things we can do to protect ourselves in this oncoming hellstorm that we're facing?
You know, it's really hard. Just keep making your voice heard as much as you can. Everything that you put into your body, you know, put the best you can. I have a dear friend of mine who's a quadriplegic. He lives out in Denver. And he became a Buddhist, and he said he couldn't make it through the day if he didn't meditate every day. And it goes back into getting in, as I said, shape as best you can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. That's the best we can do. And surround yourself, as I said, with the beauty that you can do. You know, beauty doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It means not buying crap. And it means associating with people that aren't afflicted with negativity all the time.
Absolutely. It's realizing how powerful you are and that you do have power and these globalists can be defeated. Gerald Celente, amazing to talk to you. We'll see if you can stay 5 more minutes and take a few more calls. Then we're getting the Bilderberg report.